Hello everybody, and welcome to another quick video. Today we're doing a bit of a wander around Hull, particularly Old Town, Marina, that sort of area. But as you can probably tell behind me, we've got pretty much no light at all. So I've put my 25mm f1.4 Leica lens on, the Lumix Leica, and we're going to do some black and white around the town. A lot of today is going to be why I enjoy black and white so much, and sort of how it seems to be my sort of go-to for a lot of stuff. So, bit of chat, bit of B-roll, bit of a play, and hope you enjoy it. So a bit of history with me in black and white. When I first started out, literally that's the best that you could get for the budget. We couldn't afford like colour development and enlarge and everything that goes with it. So everything we did was black and white. It was a regular thing on a weekend. Maybe I'd sort of close off everything in the kitchen and sort of set up a dark room. But yeah, black and white was key. If you wanted colour, normally we just had to send it down to the chemist and get it done that way. So yeah, black and white really sort of got ingrained into my system from an early age, and I think it still carries over now. I still see things a lot of the time in black and white first before I see the colours, and it becomes, yeah, second nature for me. So we're in Hull Town today with David Flower. Bob linked to his channel down below, go check it out. Essentially what we're doing, we're just wandering around, looking at various different things, picking out some people. We just spent 20 minutes in a coffee shop, essentially just nattering and shooting through the window, which has been quite nice. But running the Lumix 25mm f1.4 today, mainly because I wanted to go quite wide open, just for doing a lot of subject blocking and stuff like that. It helps actually get it as wide as you can. Well, it'll be always at 1.4, but it gives me the option. Black and white all the way through though. Today is all about the black and white. As you can see, it's flat as anything. There's not a lot going on. So yeah, we're going to sort of rock the black and white look all the way through, and it'll all be on here. Maybe a couple of crops through it, but yeah, for the most part, we're all on the 25mm, so 50mm equivalent, which is quite nice. It's a nice sort of range to play with. You're not messing around with anything to do with, let's say, super zooms or anything like that. All fixed. It's kind of what the eye sees anyway at about that sort of range. So I think it works quite well. But we're going to have a wander down towards the marina now, see what sort of bits are there, see if there's any people milling around, and hopefully we'll get a few shots off. So black and white, I shoot in colour rather than actually shooting in black and white. I shoot raw anyway, but I shoot in colour rather than just black and white because I generally see what it's going to look like afterwards. I do have the option in here to actually shoot the JPEG in black and white, and then sort of, basically as you're shooting, you're seeing everything in black and white. But I choose not to, just because I automatically know what it's going to look like just from practice. You know, I was doing this back in the 80s, so in those days on film, you didn't have any option of looking through the viewfinder in black and white. You had to sort of work it out in your head how it's going to work, and how, once you've actually developed and got it on the enlarger and that, how it's going to look. So that really sort of set my mindset. It's not for everyone though. I don't think, coming from a purely colour background, it would be as easy as it is for me, because I grew up doing this sort of thing. obviously I did have the brake, and then digital came more to the fore, so yeah, your colour side of it comes in, and you have that option to actually play around, especially now with the mirrorless setup. So you can actually look through a viewfinder, you can see exactly what it's going to look like in black and white, and it gives you a little bit of an extra edge. If you're sort of thinking, well, would it look better with the high contrast, low contrast, you can set that preset in the camera, just in the colour modes. So it's really powerful for that. But okay, I don't do that. That's just me. That's how I prefer to run it. But yeah, if you want to go out and try this, set in your camera first, if it's your first time out, and you'll start to train your eyes sort of what looks good in black and white, how it'll work, how your contrasts are going to pull in. It's just practice, really. That's the key to it. So what's the reason for shooting with a 25mm? Two reasons really. One, it lets me hone things in a little bit. It's not super long, it's not super wide, it's sort of in the middle. But the other thing is this goes to f1.4, which is great for giving separation. So if you do some frame blocking, so I tend to do that a lot to give it a bit of negative space. So you basically got something on one side of the frame that is either out of focus or just completely plain, and then your subject behind it. It just helps you sort of guide you into the image. It's something I quite like doing with streets, especially if you get a bit of distance between yourself and the subject, like people walking by. It lets you be a little bit more sort of out of the way and sort of not in their faces, which, yeah, it does help quite a lot. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'd like to go a little bit wider in some places, a little bit longer in some places, but yeah, it's what I've got, and it's nice to sort of restrict yourself a few times and sort of just, yeah, play with what you've got, zoom with your feet, and just, yeah, help play with the scenes a little bit more. But again, all the features that I'm seeing here, there's lots of colour, lots of people with colourful stuff on. Black and white just keeps on coming through, and it's that edge that I'm taking from today. You know, sort of, you're playing with that, and it's amazing how much on a colour image black and white will actually make things pop out, because you can play more with the luminance and with the contrast, and it changes the way it feels. So that's really the sort of the angle that I'm going at with it for today, and I think it's working quite nicely so far. And obviously we're in quite a busy spot today, so I'm being mindful as well sort of the shots that I'm taking. I'm not getting in people's faces, I'm not sort of overdoing it, certainly trying to keep any sort of young people or kids out of the frame, playing a little bit with the shapes of the buildings, using sort of stuff like this to some frame blocking. The lights that are on here as well, the lamps, they make quite nice subjects to actually shoot through as well. There will be a little bit of cropping done just to give me a little bit of playtime with the frame, but I think, yeah, generally the 25mm work quite well for me, and it's given me some interesting shots. Now we're going to go and grab a bite to eat, and then we'll sort of head back out, because the light's trying to come through, but it's still super flat. But if we can get something that's going to cast a few shadows, that'll work even better in black and white, because super contrasty, super moody, just works so well. So we'll go and get some lunch, we'll come back out and have a bit more of a play. two things you do notice running a fixed lens, it changes the way you actually sort of look for the shots. Literally where I am now, I'm stood just here. So you've got Davis over the road there. I can actually take a shot of him without having to move further back. So you have to think about your zoom level. Normally you just like zoom out a bit or something like that. You can't do that on a fixed lens, so you've got to sort of work with your feet and sort of take that into consideration. But a lot of it takes a little bit of time, but once you start to sort of tie in that sort of feel, yeah, it becomes fairly sort of natural. Now, obviously, I'm doing what I know as street photography today, which for me is all encompassing. Some people call it architectural, because I do quite a lot of the buildings, but I do people as well. So for me, street's like an all encompassing thing. I'm not sort of getting hung up with, oh, I'm doing streets, so I've got to be in people's faces and stuff like that. That's not my thing at all. But I like to vary what I do. So that's essentially what we're doing today. And obviously the black and white, that's my thing. For me, it gets you out of so many different situations. You've got harsh light, run a bit of black and white, you can play with it, make it into something different. You've got bad light, again, you can play with it a bit more. You're not tied down to, I can't shoot because of these conditions aren't right. It makes such a big difference. But I'm going to keep on wandering, get a few more shots in, and we're wandering through sort of the old town area, so there's quite a lot of nice old features, and other than the fact there's cars going by on the cobble streets, which are quite loud, there's a lot to be had around here, and we are getting a bit of sunlight coming through, so shadows are coming into play, nice deep contrast, and you know, time to have a real play with it. I've been talking about doing frame blocking. I'll show you what I mean, just spin you around. Basically we've got this block just here. If you actually get really low, you actually use that as a bit of negative space. Now I can get this to focus onto the distance. By doing that, this becomes negative space, and you can actually have your feature in there, so it gives you a bit of extra separation. Do that at something like f1.4, you get this lovely blurred foreground leading you into a nice background. It's just a technique that works for me. I do quite like doing it. Takes a little bit of practice to sort of work it out. Some shots I've taken today have been absolutely hopeless, they haven't worked at all, but sometimes they just come off really nicely, especially if you can get a nice character in the background. Works a treat. So just something to consider if you're doing this sort of thing. Yeah, use the environment to actually make your scene come to life, sort of thing. The other thing to be mindful about as well, this is an f1.4 lens, so if you're shooting wide open and the sun comes out, you might actually find that it can't actually sort of handle the amount of light that's coming in, so you have to stop down. Another option would be to actually sort of add an ND filter, just to bring it down, but obviously can't really make that, but it's not actually a very big sort of filter, so my filters are all like 72mm, so you need to actually sort of step up from that. A little bit unwieldy, but it is possible to do it. But yeah, it's just something to consider when you're sort of doing the shots. Now where we are at the moment, we're just down by the church, but there's a little alleyway down here with a row of houses that are quite colourful. I'm going to see if I can get something with this sort of looking down there. If the light plays nicely, which at the moment it's a bit in and out, might be able to get something interesting with that. Possibly sort of shooting from within the alleyway itself that leads down to it, and so sort of cutting through, possibly using a little bit of blocking as well, which yeah, might work, just to emphasise the the curvature. It is slightly windy at the moment as well, so yeah, sort of it's blowing the clouds around, so the sun's very much in and out, but something to play with at least. Big thing for me as well with this, because obviously with running film back in the day, the most we could afford really was to run 36 exposures. Then you've got time to process, the cost to process, the work to actually do all the actual sort of printing and stuff like that. Digital is so much easier now. You do get the added bonus that once you've taken a snap, you can see what you've got, and it's easy enough to test yourself that, oh, no, it's not good enough, try again. You didn't get that with film back in the day. So I do prefer running digital these days. I don't think I'd ever go back to running just film. They're not cheap to buy the films, they're not cheap to process. If you're doing it all yourself, yeah, there's not really any sort of thing other than sort of a lot of cost involved and time. The other thing is, especially these days, a lot of people actually sort of shoot in film, get it processed and then scanned, and then do all the processing digitally. To me, I can't see the point. You might as well just shoot digital. But what do you think? Is it something that you think that film is, yeah, more of an arty form, that sort of thing? It's not so much a thing for sort of doing sort of general photography. It's more something that you're doing because it's film. Let me know what you think in the comments. So there we go, a bit of a street session around Hull with a lot of black and white influence based on years of experience and how I like to see an image. This little lens has been an absolute blinder. It's the first time I've actually really gone out an angle with it, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Yes, you have to work with limitations, obviously stopping up and stuff like that, but it's all part of the learning curve. I've really enjoyed the time with it. So the sun's doing some strange things at the minute, so I'll be trying to get a few more shots as we head back towards the van. But there's a gallery coming up with a few of the shots from around the sort of old town and sort of around the marina, which I think have worked fairly well. I think we've got some reasonable image from this. It's a mix of stuff. There's streets, architecture, there's people in there. So yeah, a big mix of stuff, and I've really enjoyed the day. So if you've enjoyed it too, please do hit the like button. Really helps the channel out. If you're not subscribed, hit subscribe. Also helps the channel no end. But from what is currently quite a bright and breezy Hull, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Take care.
Easy rider on the highway, station wagon going slow, windows open, you are basking in the bluegrass radio. It is easy now to see you with your hand out on the wind. I keep this folded at the corner so that I could not forget. Folded at the corner so that I could not forget. Pink azaleas by your driveway, shade our leisurely goodbyes. In your terry cotton sweater, with your arms sweeping the sky. It was then I had a knowing. You were waving till the bend. I keep this folded at the corner so that I could not forget. so that